Tina Joemat-Petterson, a lady in a very high-profile, high-powered position, and a very enormously necessary position for food security and so on. A very difficult thing for you to handle. You have to be all things at all times.
The portfolio is enormous. You have agriculture, forestry, and fisheries. Fisheries is a portfolio on its own, and agriculture is a portfolio on its own. And even though collectively they have an umbrella of food security components, they are, all three sectors are at an economic crossroads. Agriculture in particular is at a crossroads in our country, in our continent, and also globally. And it is either a game changer or it's game over.
If you look at your background and where you came from, and a lot of people might say, well, where did the expertise to be involved with fisheries, farming and forestry come from? Because basically, and let's go back a little bit now to Tina's early days, you were a school teacher.
Yes, I was a nurse. Before I was a school teacher.
Oh.
Yes, I was a nurse. I did a degree in nursing, was kicked out because of, that was the UDF days.
Oh, you weren't too friendly with the patients.
Yes, I was. I have fond memories of nursing. I wanted to be a medical doctor, but because we didn't have that kind of money, I opted to study nursing because it was close to medicine, and I read a brochure which said you can earn while you learn. So that's basically why I went into nursing.
And that was the Northwest Cape?
Western Cape.
Western
Cape University. UWC, University of the Western Cape, in Cape Town.
And then you left the nursing profession and you became a school teacher.
1984 was the anti-election campaign. That was the UDF million signature campaign where they campaigned against the imminent tricameral parliament, where you were going to have the House of Representatives, the House of Delegates, and the House of Assembly. So,
is that where you became
politically active?
And a communist, obviously, South African Communist Party.
My activism actually started 1980. I can say exactly 1980. Prior to that, I was very aware with the 1976 uprising. We were in the thick of things, but I wasn't that active. I was just running around. I was young. But 1980 was the 4th anniversary of the Soweto uprising. And then we had a very long school boycott. And that was the time when politics really became part of my vocabulary, my ethos. But it stemmed from a very intensive Christian upbringing.
Why the Communist Party?
For me, you know, you could never discuss race without discussing class. The class matter came because of, I grew up in an environment where part of the area we live in was very poor working class. And we were sort of this lower middle class, upper working class. We just straddled, we were poor. We lived on the other side of the road. And from a very young age, I was made aware of the fact that there was a bottom floors and there was a top floors. Floors as Florianville was the area I was living in. So the class struggles for me started at school, at church, and at home.
Now, how did Tina Joemat-Petterson become a Swedish housewife, or was she not? Was he here? Did he meet you in South Africa?
I met my husband outside of South Africa, and then there was a long gap in our contact with each other. And then in 1994, the Swedish government had an arrangement with the South African government for assistance in the road to democracy. They assisted different provinces with setting up structures and systems for the new government. And it was just, I don't believe in fate, but anyway, it was a stroke of luck that he ran a consultancy company. He didn't have consultants to send, and then he came himself. And he walked into cabinet and we recognized each other, and the rest was history. I married my soulmate. I had a wonderful life with him. I have wonderful memories that I cherish. Yes, I've lived with a ghost for a long time. He's dead for 6 years.
Let's talk about that sad moment. What happened?
We had holiday in Sweden, and he was a keen sailor and a yachtsman. So after the holiday on the Swedish archipelago, the two of us were the children, no nannies, no au pairs. It was wonderful, it was marvelous. I think went back to South Africa from Sweden with the boys because of work. And he flew to Miami because we had a yacht in Miami and sailed from Miami down to the Caribbean. And when he got to Barbados, he fell ill, left Barbados for Guyana, and was taken to hospital because of a heart attack.
And never survived?
Never. He spent 3 days in hospital in Guyana. He was discharged, called me to say that he was flying back to Sweden, and then the afternoon in South America, the evening, South African evening, he passed away.
We have what I consider an extremely immature press in this country that would love to get any kind of little tidbit of information on you. So it must be difficult for you to have a private life.
I wouldn't say that I'm not the kind of person who allows the media to dictate my life. I'm strong-willed.
But it did interfere with you, didn't it, at one time? I mean, if I think of the story of when you took over this job, you supposedly, I don't know whether this is true, you'll have to tell me, slept in the car with your two boys one night because there was no accommodation.
Yes, it did. I think the investigation by the public protector was one of the most challenging and difficult moments in my entire life in politics.
Because just let me stop you there so that our readers and viewers understand this. You are a wealthy woman in your own right without having to take government money or any other money.
My husband hasn't left me a pauper.
Yes.
And he hasn't left his children poor either. And as I said to you, I respect my husband for allowing me to work, even though we could afford he could afford having his wife at home. But because he knew that I had a passion for what I was doing, that I wanted to contribute to my country, and that I meant it in all sincerity, without being naive. I knew politics was a difficult story. It was a difficult life to lead. And even now, I make huge sacrifices. I sacrifice the time that I could be spending with my family to do this job. And I do it because I love my country. I do it because I have an inherent sense that people are not automatically evil. Individuals are evil. And I found the period with the public protector, the examination, the media scrutiny, to be rather harsh and crude. Now, having a house as a minister wasn't a luxury. It was part of the package. If you are employed by a company and your package includes a company car and a company house, you expect to walk into your house 3 months after appointment. And if the ministerial handbook says appropriate and suitable ministerial accommodation, you don't expect to live in a 2-bedroomed house.
Was it not, and I put it to you politely, this one, was it not maybe a way of making a point that you slept in the car that night with the children? Was it not going a little bit too overboard? Couldn't you have gone to a hotel?
I think, firstly, the situation.
You were angry.
No, the situation was explained, and the sensational bits were taken out. You know, it was sensationalized by the media, because I started off not having accommodation. I had to leave my 6-year-old son in Kimberley with relatives. His medical condition got so bad that towards the end of the year, 2009, he was more with me than in school. And at that stage, he was with me in a hotel. And I didn't want a hotel. I wanted a guest house, which could accommodate him, his nanny, and his au pair. So I moved out of the hotel into a guest house, which was less than 1,000 rand a night, with my child and my nanny and the au pair.
I deliberately brought this up because I wanted you to have the floor to be able to tell your side of the story fairly and to stop what was, in my mind, the start of a bad relationship with the media.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
maybe, hopefully, somebody will take note of it and move on now.